Most people think anxiety is a problem with their thoughts, but anxiety necessarily isn't a thinking problem. Neurologically, it's a safety system that's doing its job too well. I want you to think about an alarm system or a little tiny dog that barks every time someone walks past the window. That's your safety system neurologically. That's what anxiety is doing. And once you understand that, the way you relate to anxiety completely changes. Now, I want to kind of talk about anxiety as a survival system because that's exactly what it really is. Anxiety exists for one reason and one reason only, and that is survival. Because your brain evolved to keep you alive, not to keep you calm, not to keep you confident or comfortable, to keep you alive. So when your brain begins to sense danger, whether that be socially, whether that be emotionally, whether that be physically, it sounds the alarm. It sounds the little dog barking through the window. Because the problem is that the your body is so in tuned with trying to keep you safe that every single thing that could be perceived as a threat sets it off. So let's talk about what's happening in the brain when this actually happens. When anxiety hits, one part of your brain goes online incredibly fast, and that's going to be your amygdala. That's your ADT system. That's the little dog barking. That's the threat detector, so to speak. At the same time, the part that's responsible for logic and reasoning, the prefrontal cortex, goes partially offline. So I want to recap here. Your amygdala goes online, and your prefrontal cortex dampens a little bit. That's why telling yourself to calm down or be rational doesn't work in this situation because your prefrontal cortex, which is the area that's responsible for that logic and for that reasoning, it's dampened. It's kind of the lights are dimmed a little bit. It's not working the way it should. So let's talk a little bit how your body responds to anxiety because it is a full body experience. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tighten, and your breathing becomes really shallow. My apologies. Your nervous system shifts into fight or flight and sometimes freeze, even depending on how severe the situation is. And these sensations, again, aren't signs that something is wrong. That's your body doing exactly what it's been designed to do. So, where does anxiety become a long term issue? Well, there's a thing called a behavioral loop that feeds the anxiety. Every time you avoid something that makes you anxious, your brain learns one single thing, and that's that situation was dangerous. I need to stay away from it. I need to avoid it. Avoidance feels very relieving in the moment. It's one of the most successful, in my personal opinion, coping strategies because being able to avoid a situation that's considered dangerous and remove yourself from it is very effective. But on the flip side of that coin, it teaches your nervous system that that anxiety was necessary. And the next time you feel that, or you're in a situation that's very similar or very that resembles it, it will be louder, and you will need to have that same reaction to kind of get you out of it, so to speak. A lot of anxiety isn't necessarily maintained by fear, it can be maintained by coping, unfortunately. That could be over preparing, it could be reassurance seeking. And I have a video coming out on that next week, so stay tuned for that. It could also be checking, make sure the doors are locked, or controlling. And controlling is another one that I can't wait to tell y'all about. I get very excited talking about this. These behaviors make anxiety feel better short term. But again, what's the opportunity cost? They quietly tell your brain, I can't handle this without protection. And remember, that little guard dog is going to continue to bark louder and louder at the slightest threat of anxiety or anything that would make you feel scared, so to speak. That message keeps anxiety alive. So let's talk about why anxiety can feel so personal. Anxiety feels like you because it lives in your body, not just your thoughts. You could be going down the street not worried about a single thing, and you see something, or you smell something, or you hear something, and your body will react more times faster than your brain will even process. Um, Anxiety is incredibly it's a well-oiled machine, and it will continue to work and fuel and fire, because a lot of what we do in terms of how we handle it isn't necessarily there to break that cycle. It reinforces it. So, in closing, on my first video for you all, I want you to remember that anxiety is a safety system, not necessarily the enemy. And fighting it isn't the answer, so to speak. The goal isn't to get rid of anxiety. The goal is to teach your nervous system that you're safe enough to stay present and not avoid. It's teaching your body a different relationship with the anxiety. Um, yeah, that's basically it for my first video on anxiety. Again, next week we'll talk about why reassurance is the enemy of anxiety. I know that kind of sounds strange, but it is, and I'll tell you why next week. Regardless, thank you all for coming by today, for watching this video. If you made it this far, give me a like, write me a comment. I don't really know how YouTube works that well as far as the creator's concerned, so whatever the proper taglines are, subscribe, whatever, feel free to do that. I'll be dropping shorts daily on various mental health topics. I'll do a long form video once a week or so, until I kind of get my footing down and figure out how to work within this ecosystem. But I just want to thank y'all for staying, for watching. I'm getting long winded here, but I will see you all next time.